Last night, new sanctions were announced by the Commerce Department, sort of, and just briefly. The US Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control today announced the designation of 2 shipping companies in China that have helped North Korea evade sanctions. So both of those companies are Chinese companies, but what they were doing was providing a way for North Korea to get around certain sanctions. And so Steve Mnuchin at the time, this is yesterday, remember, said the United States and our like-minded partners remain committed to achieving the final, fully verified denuclearization of North Korea and believe that the full implementation of North Korea-related UN Security Council resolutions is crucial to a successful outcome. Treasury will continue to enforce our sanctions, and we are making it explicitly clear that shipping companies employing deceptive tactics to mask illicit trade with North Korea expose themselves to great risk. So what he's saying there is, if we want to get to denuclearization, they cannot be getting around our sanctions. And they're doing that right now. And they made clear how it works, actually. If we can bring up this map, you're gonna see North Korea ship-to-ship transfer areas. So little areas out at sea where North Korean vessels were able to dock up with Chinese vessels and thus transfer things, either things that North Korea wants to sell or potentially things that they wanna get, including technology. And if you want denuclearization to happen, that isn't gonna work as long as that's going on. If we come up next, you're gonna see that then those same ships go to all these different ports. From the point of view of Steve Mnuchin, a person who I don't generally trust, it's a disaster. That's what he's saying. Look, if you bring up this next one, you're gonna see John Bolton, super enthusiastic. We have to do it if we don't want North Korea to have nuclear weapons. And then this morning came.
I love how they tweet because they know their boss. That's the only way to talk to their boss. Like that's why Bolton is tweeting that because he's like,
he can't get through on the phone.
You know, hey, exactly, and
he's
he
like
couldn't
Don
get through
Jr.
to. Yes, and he couldn't get through to Fox and Friends, so he just took to Twitter, and that's how he gets the meeting with his president.
Well, he didn't get a meeting, but he did get a response because Donald Trump apparently learned from all this online activity that the sanctions had been announced. And so this morning he said it was announced today by the US Treasury that additional large-scale sanctions would be added to those already existing sanctions on North Korea. I have today ordered the withdrawal of those additional sanctions. So they were not long for the world. They existed for 9 hours, maybe 12, I'm not sure, but they've been taken away. And when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked about it, she said that Donald Trump likes Chairman Kim, and so they have been removed.
This is insane. I mean, he likes a dictator who brutalizes his own people. I mean, and it's not the first dictator that Donald Trump has affection for, who brutalizes his own people. And so he decides to unilaterally lift sanctions almost immediately after they were implemented. This is insane.
Openly going against, I mean, every recommendation from all sides. And I think, I mean, my mind is like, how can we get to the point where we, like, not we, but like where the North Korean people can be helped, right? You know, obviously not like interventionist or anything, but like, because you know the sanctions don't, you know, who they hurt are the North Korean people, but we don't know how to do diplomacy, you know, like we can't even get there because getting to that point, talking about human rights in North Korea is talking about a stand down of this nuclear tension. And we can't do that if we have, again, this president who's flip-flopping on people like even John Bolton, and like Bolton just wants war. So like I kind of take a lot of what he says with a grain of salt.
Theoretically, he wants war with a non-nuclear armed North Korea at the very least.
Yes, exactly.
So look, here's the thing. That's why I was being sarcastic throughout that. I mean, look, I don't care what Steve Mnuchin wants. I certainly don't care what John Bolton wants. I'm not advocating for any particular sanctions, but what I'm saying is that if you're gonna have sanctions or you're not gonna have sanctions, this is not how you're supposed to arrive at it. Sanctions being announced is the result of a multi-months long process of experts analyzing the obvious and not so obvious consequences of those sanctions. And for Donald Trump to just be like, nah, I like that guy, so I'm gonna shut it down. That's not how the government's supposed to run.
They're in love.
It's apparently not illegal. These were not passed by Congress or anything like that. He has in the past refused to put into effect legally passed congressional sanctions or requirements that sanctions be established, I should say. In this case, I guess he cannot do it if he wants to, but do you want your country run in this way? This is no different in this particular aspect than any dictator, any tin pot despot operating in any country in the world. That's how those governments run.
My favorite part about the whole Trump North Korea sort of, you know, saga, the soap opera that is that Trump spends so much time on the campaign saying we're losers. America is losers. We look like losers in the eyes of the world. We're idiots. You know, Mexico's beating us, Canada's beating, everyone's beating us. And then he has one opportunity to do something that shows a little bit of backbone. Okay, how does America, your strong America, sort of lead, right? You know, I'm not advocating, again, like not war, but like how do you lead? How do you show that we're strong? Here you have a gold plate opportunity. Obama told you about it. He warned you about it. Everyone, we know it's a sensitive area and it's a difficult needle to thread. And of course, the dude can't do it. The dude is just like, I love you. Yeah, we're best buds. And sanctions, no sanctions. I'm tough. You're an idiot. Like me. Like just like he has gotten it so wrong and made us look like total losers.
Well, in a variety of ways, but it's not just how he's handling North Korea. So you have to take his foreign policy as a whole and consider the fact that the way that he behaves toward one country is influencing the way that North Korea acts. So for instance, North Korea and Kim Jong Un specifically has no real incentive to denuclearize when he knows that the United States has a history of salivating over the notion of regime change. Now at the same time, Donald Trump is pushing for what? Regime change. Not in North Korea right now, but he's certainly pushing for a regime change in Venezuela.
Right.
So if you have to think about this as if we're dealing with rational actors, and I know it's a difficult thing to do because we're dealing with Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump. But Kim Jong Un, to some extent, is a rational actor, and I'm saying this in a international relations, scholarly way, right? In that he's thinking of, okay, what's the cost benefit analysis of denuclearizing? And right now, if you denuclearize, who's to say that the United States at some point in the future won't turn around and try to push for regime change in North Korea?
Right.
So that's what his thinking is, especially given the added evidence of what Trump is trying to do in Venezuela. So these are all things that, I think these conversations are missing in political analysis. I think that this type of analysis is missing in Donald Trump's own mind.
Of course.
And he, remember, refused to even prepare prior to the first summit he had with Kim Jong Un. He was asked by reporters, what have you done to prepare? And he, I'm paraphrasing, essentially said nothing. And he's like, I just know, it's my touch, it's my feel, right? No, we're talking about a dictator.
The feel.
Of cotton. Anyway, so I did have a little tiny sliver of hope when it came to his diplomatic approach, but now he's taken that diplomatic approach and put it on steroids to the point where he's being irresponsible and unilaterally making these decisions that I think are gonna be destructive.
Yeah, and the thing is, hypothetically, he had this new approach. It's gonna be totally personal. I'm gonna charm him. But the problem is that he is easily flattered. Not everyone is, and so Kim sends him letters. And he's at least temporarily, I mean, sure, he's a frenetic guy, but as of right now, he loves him, give him whatever he wants, but he's not getting anything for that. He is easily won over, and he thinks that everyone else is as shallow and stupid as he is, but they're not necessarily. Like sometimes they want some concessions.
Right.
Kim just got them, but what have we gotten so far?
That's what I'm saying, he's misplayed it completely, but I will say, given that we're dealing with a toddler, like happy, in love Trump is much better than angry, hateful Trump, right? So we should kind of just be like, you're doing a great job.
I mean, look, this is certainly better than what we had in the very beginning with Trump and Kim Jong Un.
Rocket Man and all that.
There was a real threat of things escalating to the point where people would get hurt. And so I guess, much rather take the scenario that we're in now as opposed to what we had earlier. But still,
knowing that the first strike will most likely not come from North Korea.
Correct. But even given that, Donald Trump is very hot and cold depending on his mood on any given day, depending on who he's spoken to on any given day. We have no idea what his mood is gonna be tomorrow or next month. And so this nonstop anxiety is just irresponsible. You're supposed to keep the American people safe, and you're doing the exact opposite right now.
Well, when the Mueller report comes down and we know exactly what's in it, or when we know what's in it, maybe that we'll go back to Rocket Man. And that'll be the big distraction. And then we just ride that out for 2 years.
Well, we have Venezuela, we have Iran. There's all sorts of distractions.
So many wars to get to.
That's true. And not to open up a whole big thing, but the anxiety that you're talking about that I've been feeling, that a lot of people have been feeling, that is the unique Donald Trump effect. There are other Republicans who are warmongers, but this is one of the reasons that the argument that we should only think about impeachment through a strictly partisan lens, who would end up in the office, that's wrong for a lot of different reasons. But the idea that that uniformly in every case Mike Pence would be worse is simply not the case. Not only would he be neutered because he'd be coming in after an impeached president, he would have effectively no authority or mandate whatsoever, but he also probably would not be goading a dictator into nuking the West Coast.
Right.
That's my belief.
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.